Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with part 2 of my wedding Q&A. I'm sorry I've left it so long apart from the other one. I've just had loads of other videos that I've wanted to film and I sort of forgot, if I'm being completely honest. But I'm back. I've got my notebook again full of questions, so I'm literally just going to get straight into it. So the first question is, why did we want a secret wedding? I don't really know why. I don't know. I really don't know why. I think if we were to announce it, it would have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And because we weren't inviting a whole load of people, if you tell loads of people like, oh, I'm getting married, I feel like a lot of people would expect to be invited. And because we weren't even inviting like a lot of family, it just would have been awkward. I didn't want the pressure. I didn't want the stress of everyone being like, how's the wedding going? Like, I didn't want to constantly be talking about it. And again, that's why I didn't put anything on social media, just because I didn't just want to become all about wedding. I still wanted to live normal life, if that makes any sense. I just wanted it just to be a little secret, and I'm so glad we did it as a secret. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. And like the giddiness of announcing it online, being like, we've got something that we know and you don't, and it's a really big deal. I really liked like putting it on Instagram. Like, it's really sad, but my phone just went absolutely mental, like, oh my god, I can't believe it, blah 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 blah. It was just really nice. I really liked it. And I think sometimes, say I were to film like a wedding series on my channel on the lead up to the wedding, I feel like a lot of people would just get bored of it. So I just decided to keep it low-key. And yeah, I'm really glad. If you are planning a wedding and you're not too sure what you want and you feel like you have to conform and do it really large, you don't. Do what you want. So I highly recommend doing a secret wedding. We spend the night apart the night before. Yes, we did. So Neil went to his best man and best friend's house, Ross. They've been friends, I think, since high school, so they've been friends a really, really long time. And then I had my best friend Wench come over, Hayley Wench. If you didn't watch my first one of my oldest and longest friends, it's called Hayley, but I call her Wench. She came over to stay the night before. I did originally ask Ellie. I'm sure quite a few of you might think, oh, why didn't Ellie stay? I did ask Ellie, but because she's got Evie, it just made it, sorry, I've got something in my eye, it made it a lot more complicated, obviously getting everything ready for Evie. And because she was doing so much for us for our wedding day, it just would have been too much stress and too much pressure. And she said, if you want me to come over, then I will. If not, I'll come over early in the morning. I was like, don't worry about it. I know what it's like. I know what being a parent's like. You do you. Come over in the morning and that'll be fine. So Neil went to his friend's house. So obviously I stayed here with Pete, and then Wench came over. I think she came over the night before about 6:30, 7ish. And I'm really glad it went that way, if I'm being completely honest, because Wench is my longest friend and we go back from when we were like 11 years old. So whenever we see each other, we always reflect on that and we always talk about like our childhood. And I just really liked it. It just felt like it was full circle. Yeah, it was really, really special, and I'm so glad that I spent the night before with Wench. Next question is, how did we get engaged? I don't know if I've spoken about this on my channel or not. I must have done. So we met in 2012. We just had a steady relationship. Our relationship has never been the type where, like, we've never not had a stable relationship, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people go through like a rough patch in their relationship, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that's probably healthy, but we just always got on really well. We've never had that, oh, we need a break, or oh, we need space. We've never ever had that. So we've always had a really steady relationship. So we met in 2012. We moved in together later on in that year. Well, we didn't really. Neil got a flat with his friend and I sort of stayed 4 nights of the week, and then in 2013 his flatmate moved out, I moved in. And then we moved into this house where I'm at the moment. We moved in here in April 2014, and then in October, that's when we got engaged. We went to, it was a really weird day. Like, there was nothing, like I had no clue, and it wasn't anything special. So that day Neil had a really gammy eye. His allergies or something was playing up and his eye wouldn't stop watering, and he had a really puffy red eye. And we went out to it's not even open anymore. We went out to this like restaurant in Norwich and we had a massive meal with his family. We had a roast dinner, and then it must have been about 2:30, and I was like, right, let's go, like we're done here. He's like, let's go to the beach. And I was like, no, don't worry, like you're not very well, let's just go home. He's like, no, let's go to the beach. I was like, okay. Went to Cromer, which is like a special beach for us and our family, or my mum's family. Cromer's just sort of like a special place for us. We went to Cromer, and we went for a walk along the beach, and we just kept going and going and going, and then he just sort of got down on one knee and said whatever he had to say. I honestly don't even remember what he said, but I was so shocked. I think he cried. I can't really remember. I think I cried. Yeah, and he got down on one knee and he asked me to be his wife. It was like, I think he said something along the lines of, I want to make a family with you, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, will you marry me? And I was like, yeah. And that was it. That was our engagement. So it wasn't anything like spectacular, but it was just us, and I loved the beach, and it was just really special. So how did P find the day? I think she was absolutely fine. She didn't have a bloody clue what was going on, if I'm being completely honest. I think she might have been a little bit overwhelmed. She was quite clingy, but she handled it really, really well. In the morning she was loving life, obviously having me and the girls, and she knows the girls really well, so that wasn't an issue. And then Dad and Sally came, and I think she thought, oh, something's going on here. And then when Dad and Sally came, they basically just dealt with her. So Ellie got her dressed and did her hair, and then from then on, like, I didn't really have that worry or that responsibility because they took her in the car, so I didn't have that stress. She didn't cry when she got put in the car. I thought she'd get a little bit worried as to why Mummy wasn't in the car with her, but she didn't have that stress at all. And as far as I'm aware, she was as good as gold. When we were waiting outside of the, I don't know what it's called, like the room where we got married, we had to wait outside and speak to the registrar about legalities and stuff. Whilst we were out there, she was getting really clingy, and she was clinging to my leg quite a lot, and I told Dad to take her in because I knew she'd get really overwhelmed if we walked into a room and there were loads of people and music. Loads of people, she'd get overwhelmed and she wouldn't like it, and she'd get really clingy and go inside herself, because I just know her, she's my child. So I got Dad to take her in early, and I'm really glad I did that, because then she got to see Neil, because she hadn't seen Neil for a really long time. And then she sat with Sally and had her little seat, and she was as good as gold. She was quiet throughout the whole ceremony. I brought so many snacks and gave them to Sally. Didn't even need them because she was so quiet. And then afterwards she was as good as gold, having her photo taken, and like, she was just a dream. I can't say any more than that. She just did so well. And when we went to the reception, she was just running around, eating snacks, just being such a good little girl. I was so proud of her. And then apparently when Dad and Sally took her home, I think she had a meltdown between like 4:30 and 5:30, just because she was so tired. She hadn't napped. She obviously missed me, didn't know where we were, but other than that, she did really, really well. And she did really well the whole time we were in London as well. So really, really proud of her. How long had we been planning the wedding? And we'd literally only been planning it since the January. So it was literally like the middle of January as well. So February, March, April, May, 4 months. And we did it. So, I mean, you don't need that long. Like, I could have done it in less amount of time. I just dragged it out just simply because of funding. We couldn't afford to do it all really quickly. We staggered the costs throughout the months, but we could have done it a lot faster. I just obviously delayed doing it. Was it hard not talking about the wedding? Was it hard? I don't really know. I feel like if we did something, like if I brought my dress and I was seeing someone, whether it was like Neil's brothers or whatever, I wanted to obviously be like, oh my god, I brought my wedding dress, blah blah blah, but I couldn't do that. But it's not like I didn't have anyone not to talk to about it. Like, Ellie always knew, my friend, like my close friends that obviously came to the wedding always knew. So it was, I always had that person or people to be like, oh my god, I've done this, I'm so stressed, I need help, blah blah. I always had someone to turn to. It was hard not talking about it online, especially during Vida, because obviously I filmed my entire month every single day in April. And it was really hard because I was obviously doing things, and if I went into the city or if I brought something for the wedding, I wanted to show it or talk about it on the vlog, but I couldn't. And I was saying in the video, like in Vida, I was so stressed, and you see it, and I was stressed because of Vida, but I also had so much going on in the background that no one knew about. That's what I really struggled with. But on the whole, I had people I could discuss it with, just not like my viewers and stuff. And it would have been nice to obviously share it and get input and get advice and tips and stuff, but I'm glad we did it the way we did, because again, it would have been so much pressure, and the build up to it, which would have been too much. Is there anything you would change about the day? I don't think so. The wedding went fine. I mean, I would change the fact that I got like a dry mouth and felt like I'd been chewing sand. I'd change that because that was just weird. I would change Neil's clammy hands, but again, it makes, like, those little things just make the wedding, and they make it funny and they make it us. What else would I change? My dress was fine. My makeup was fine. P was a dream. Weather was fine. I would like to have had some more photos of myself, Neil and P in different locations, because the only ones we have of us are out where we have all of our photos taken outside, like overlooking the city, which I really like, and I really love the photos that we've got, but just for like different scenery, I would have liked to have them elsewhere. But when you're in the moment, you don't think about that. I would have liked to have had more photos taken. That's what one thing. I wouldn't change it, obviously, but I would like to have had thought about it a little bit more. I wish I wrote a list of who I wanted done, like photos wise, and then we would have ticked them off and got them done, because we didn't do a group shot, and that's a really silly thing not to do. I don't know why we didn't do it. I was just like, we were literally just churning them out, like me and the girls, Neil and the boys, me and Neil. And like, we don't have photos of like me, Neil and the girls, and I would have liked to have done that. And then the only other thing I would have changed, the buffet. I mean, it wasn't awful, but I just like party food. Like, a party ring wouldn't have gone amiss. Didn't have that. Would love some hummus. Didn't have that. So little things like that didn't ruin my day at all. But if I'm being really picky, then that's what I would have done. And I would have changed the time that we would have left Norwich. We left at 5. If we left at 4, quarter to 4, I feel like it would have given us a little bit extra time in London, as opposed to then being rushed and having my first meal as a married couple in McDonald's. And yeah, that was a little bit silly on our behalf. It wasn't silly, I mean, it was fine, but leaving Norwich, I would have left just an hour earlier. Next question is going to have a really vague answer, and that is, what was the budget of the wedding? Now, there never was a budget, and I'm not saying like there was never a budget because we've got endless amounts of cash to spend on unnecessary things. It wasn't ever like that. The budget was to do it as cheaply as possible and as low cost as possible. There was never like say, for example, obviously we didn't have this much money, but there was never like, we can't spend more than £2,000. Like, there was never a price. It was never like, it was never even a conversation we had, because we knew that we were going to do it so cheap. And it's like, when I was looking for my dress, I was looking on ASOS for like 120 quid, and I was like, shit me, that's a lot of money. Like, I'm not going to be able to afford that. So I knew to obviously look at a lower price bracket. And Neil was also looking at his suit. He was looking at Next, and a suit from Next is cheap when it comes to suits. But when like a 3-piece suit is like over £100 and we don't have that money, that's when you sort of evaluate things and you do things differently. So like I said, there was never a budget. I will do a separate video on budgeting if you are still interested in that. But it was just to do it as cheaply but as nicely as possible, and I feel like we achieved that really well. What was my wedding beauty essentials? I don't really have any, because obviously I'm not really into that. I'm so laid back, and I'm not laid back, but I am. I'm not very, like, I don't want to say I'm not high maintenance in like the beauty way, but I'm just not. I just go with the flow, and I just it's not even like a thing for me. I can imagine like a lot of people spend months prepping and going for like their eyelashes to be filled in or whatever, and I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I just think it's unnecessary. So I got my eyelashes from Primark. They were £1. I did my nails myself, so I always knew what colour I wanted. I wanted like a nude. I didn't know whether to go for like a nudie pink or like a tan nude, but I went for nudie pink. obviously because I have my gel nail kit, which I will do a video on how to use it, what I've got, blah blah blah. I knew that I was going to do that myself, so again I've saved myself a lot of money. I did the same colour on my toes and on my hands and on my toes. As for makeup, I always knew that I was going to do makeup myself, just because I wanted to look like me, I wanted to bring the cost down, and I knew roughly what sort of things I wanted. So I didn't get all my makeup until the last few days because I was tanning. I'll lead on to that in a minute. So I obviously wanted to match it to my face. And lip colour, I had no clue what I wanted for my lips. I feel like when you're a bride, everyone's like, oh, you've got to go for the perfect peach or perfect like pink nude. And I didn't want that. I was so close to going for like a bold orange, or like I just wanted to make a statement. I'm not like your normal bride. I just wanted to do things differently, and that included my lip colour. Like I was thinking about doing like a really nice like punchy colour. I ended up going for a really nice pink. It wasn't like a in your face pink, but it was also like noticeable that I was wearing something, whereas a lot of people do like your lips but not, if that makes sense. So I ended up getting a Rimmel lip colour, but lipstick was a stressful thing because I just didn't know what to go for, and I stuck to all high street makeup. There was never anything like, I'm going to treat myself to Estee Lauder Double Wear. I don't wear foundation normally. I haven't worn it since the wedding, so I didn't want to spend like 35, 40 pounds on a bottle of foundation I'm just not going to wear. So I brought one from Rimmel. No, I didn't. I got Revlon. I got Revlon Colour Stay, which is a classic, and I used to wear that back in the day anyway. So I brought one that I can also integrate into like normal life whenever I choose to wear it. So there was never anything like that I aspired to have. It wasn't like, oh, I need to have all my makeup from MAC or wherever. It wasn't like that at all. And then tan, I decided I wanted to do sunbeds. I had never ever done them before in my life, and I haven't done them since, but I just thought, sod it, it's my wedding day, I'd like to have a tan. And at the time there was no sun, so I was like, I'm not going to get a natural tan. I tan really easily. This is my natural tan. I haven't been on sunbeds, like I said. This is just from being out and about. So I tan really quickly, and I thought, right, okay, I'm gonna get, they did a deal. It was £25 for 60 minutes, which I think is quite a good deal. And sunbeds didn't work for me at all. I caught a really good, it was the May bank holiday. It was the 7th of May, I remember, because that's when we got together. And there was a really hot day, and we went to the beach, and I fell asleep on the beach like this. I was lying down and I had my hand like this, maybe. I was like hugging myself. And I tanned so much in like the space of an hour that I had a handprint on my back, which was still there the day of our wedding. I used tan enhancer creams. I did whatever I could to get a tan. I wanted to tan my legs because my knees and my feet tan, because I normally wear ripped jeans. But my shins and stuff, is it my shin? My calves, whatever that section of your leg's called, that part wasn't tanning. So I was getting really stressed. So obviously I did my sunbeds, and I gradually went from 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 minutes. But they just didn't work for me. So I did do tanning. I wish I did a spray tan instead. But I feel like I looked nice. I looked nice and I looked natural, but I would have liked to have been browner. I'd be happy to get married now with my colouring that I am at the moment. But that is what it is. But there wasn't anything like, I didn't do like a skincare routine or anything like that. I just did me. I didn't change anything about myself, or like dieting. I didn't do any of that. And I feel like a lot of people, or a lot of brides, they do a crash diet so they look as thin as they can on their wedding, and then they put the weight back on, and then they'll look back at their wedding photos and think, oh my lord, I was so thin, I'm never going to get like that again. I didn't want that. I bet you I could have done it, but I just couldn't be bothered. And I also didn't want to look back at my photos and think, oh, I was so thin, I want to be like that again. I don't think it's healthy to do that. So I just still ate what I want, ate chocolate, ate crisps, and I was happy, and I feel like I looked okay. So yeah, that's a long roundabout question as to what my beauty essentials were. What was our wedding cake like? So our wedding cake I picked up from M&S. It was, again, it's something that we just left. My mum actually paid for it. It was the thing she paid for. It only cost £20, and we were never going to do a cake because we were never going to have a venue, but then when we decided that we were going to have the venue, I was like, well, we can't not have a cake. So I looked online and I was looking at just, you know how you can get like the white iced ones, but I thought they looked really dated and I just didn't like them. And then I found the naked cake, which was sponge and then layers of icing and then just a layer on the top. I really, really liked it. I'll try and insert a picture here if I can. Ordered that, and I got some bunting from Hobbycraft. It was £6, I think. It had little 2 wooden like skewers, and then it said just married, I think, in bunting, little flags. I thought that was really sweet, so I got that, but it was really minimal. And then I got my cake stand from Poundland and that was our wedding cake. The cake itself was I thought I ordered a Victoria sponge, but I didn't. It looked really dry, but it wasn't at all. It was like this white chocolate icing on a vanilla sponge. It was the weirdest cake I've ever had in my life, but it was really nice and loads of people enjoyed it. Well, the people there enjoyed it. So yeah, that was our wedding cake. What was our wedding venue / reception like? So we got married at Norwich Castle. The venue for registry offices, I don't know if it's changed, but I don't know. I don't know if there's 2 or if it's just moved to the castle, but we're really lucky. Obviously in Norwich we have a castle on top of the hill overlooking the city, and it's beautiful. I've always loved it over there. So when we were obviously discussing getting married, we originally were going to go, we didn't want to get married in Norwich, we wanted to go away because obviously we weren't inviting friends and family at the time. And so we looked into Ely, we looked into Cambridge, we looked into Bury St Edmunds, so places around us but not too far away. We looked into those places, and then I said to Neil, because Neil didn't want to get married in Norwich, and I said to Neil, like, let's just have a look. There's an open day, like, there's no harm in that. So we went and had a look, and I just said, look, this is where we're going to get married. I absolutely love it. It's more than we could ever ask for. It's a lot easier. We're close to home. It's easy for P. It saves a lot of costs, whether it be transport or what. Practicality-wise, it is what it is. So we got married in the castle, in a benefactor's room, and it was so beautiful. Like, wooden floors, nice walls. Because it's in the castle, it's old, so it's got so much architecture, and it's got a really beautiful fireplace and really high ceilings. Like, it was everything that I could have wanted and more. It wasn't like some dingy cupboard that you can imagine like a registry office is, with like blue carpet and awful chairs. Like, it was just like a stately home because it was a castle, if that makes sense. So that was obviously where we got married, and then the reception was down at Neil's friend's pub. So our friend did work at a pub, and Neil was like, we were looking at go to the roof terrace in Norwich, but they don't really accept people that don't do sit down meals. Obviously we don't want to go for like casual drinks, and they didn't accept that. So then Neil was like, hang on, let me ask my friend, and his friend was like, yeah, I can sort you out, sort of thing. So we were in a pub called The Last Pub Standing in Norwich, and I thought we were just going to be in the corner of the pub, but we weren't. We were upstairs, and we had our own couple of rooms to ourselves. We had our own toilets and little things like that I didn't even think about were already provided for. It was a really nice room. So obviously it's an old pub anyway, it's just been restored, so it's got really nice floorboards, like old brown like wooden traditional floorboards, really nice walls, good paneling, good painting. You've got the nice pendant lighting. It was just great. I absolutely loved it. It was just perfect. They had a Sonos system so we could have all that, and then we had tables, we had a buffet, and yeah, it was everything that we could have wanted. It was a really nice venue for what it was, because obviously we were so low key. It was perfect, and it was something that I never even thought about doing. We took our own decorations, we took our own little jars, flowers, balloons and bunting, and we just decorated it ourselves. And we were so lucky to have that, because that's a walking distance from the castle, and I was aware that I didn't want it to be too far away, because obviously it would then be transport, moving cars or getting something else, and I didn't want that. So it was within walking distance from where we got married, which was perfect. So that is the end of my Q&A. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Like I've said, I think I've said in this video, I will be doing a separate budgeting video. I just need to sit down with Neil and go through things and figure out how I'm actually going to structure the video. Instead of just rattling off numbers to you, I want to obviously go into some depth with it all. So keep a lookout for that. I will definitely do that at some point. I hope you're all still enjoying my wedding content. I am sorry that I'm dragging it out a little bit. I've just got so much that I needed to do, but we're slowly coming to the end. Thank you again to everyone that's left me comments and that's supported us throughout this whole wedding journey. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.